but the Green Chamber is not, as the Deputy Speaker arrives to preside over the first plenary session of the week. Lawmakers waste no time dealing with matters of urgent national importance, beginning with the disturbing recurring queues at petrol stations in some parts of the country. The House resolves to carry out a forensic investigation into the resurgence of fuel queues, as well as the alleged indiscriminate issuance of licenses for importation of PMS, importation of substandard petroleum products, as well as failure of regulators to do their job. The House then turns its attention to the controversial Samoa agreement signed by the federal government and the European Union.
That the phrase gender equality, as reported, is a Trojan horse for deceptively bringing in all sorts of immorality to our country, as gender no longer means sexes, male and female, as traditionally understood. It now includes homosexualism, lesbianism, transgenderism, and animalism.
There is nothing like lesbian rights or gay rights. It is about human rights, environmental protection, and trade agreements, period. How on earth, if you have the agreement, bring it out here.
Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever? Let us concentrate on the issues that matter. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker, our people are not interested in this, so let us step it down, let us close it, let us forget everything about it.
Where the federal government is going into an agreement, by the provisions of Section 12 of the Constitution, the Parliament ought to be carried along.
The resolution to suspend the implementation of the agreement is adopted, and the House mandates its relevant committees to liaise with the federal government to resolve all grey areas in the agreement. A bill to improve women participation in politics by altering the Constitution to provide for special seats for women draws a robust debate from lawmakers.
Each of these our political parties, some give women their forms for free. Some give the women their form for half the price already. So, Mr. Speaker, if you are saying we should create extra seats here, that is going against the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria that fights for equality.
I do not know of any law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that stops a woman from contesting election or winning a seat in the House of Representatives.
You are only giving us special seats. We are not taking your seats, the one that you are occupying. After all, that seat, you may not be there one day. It's somebody else that will be there.
I thought my colleague would say, let us extend this, that every deputy governor should be women. I will agree to that, Mr. Speaker. That is what is expected. I cannot stand here and tell you that we should not give women an opportunity to participate in election. Let's give them a better opportunity.
Those in support of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The debate on the special seats bill is not that different from what transpired in the 9th House of Representatives on the same bill. It was eventually voted against. I guess we'll wait to see how lawmakers in the 10th House will vote. Meanwhile, the House has passed through second reading a bill to ensure that Nigerians outside the country participate in future elections. From the House of Representatives, Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
All right, so let's get right to it. We've got Honorable Rabiu Yusuf here with us. He is the Chairman, House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Mr. Chamberlain.
Well, that's a hot topic right there.
Yeah, it's true. It's topic of the day.
It was buzzing all over the place and still is, by the way. And so perhaps that informed the decision of the House on this matter. So, yes, we've seen how the House went about this. But is the National Assembly, Senate, are they on the same page with the reps?
No, actually, you know, first of all, I need to thank you for having me on the studio, and I really appreciate your concern over this Yemen issue, which is topic of the day. For your question whether the Senate are into it, for now, in the House of Representatives, we have taken a decision to call on Mr. President to suspend, or in other words, to bring out the gray areas, the topics of the discussion or the violent provisions, so that we can see whether they violate our fundamental rules, fundamental ethics, and our way of life. So the Senate, I'm not aware whether that issue has been tabled before the Senate. But as far as House of Representatives are concerned, we have tabled it yesterday, and we have discussed over it, and we have taken a decision. So I think that's the position for now. So
has this been transmitted to the president? Is he aware of this?
Actually, you know, there are so many ways of communicating with Mr. President, particularly this Samoa agreement, which is the topic of the day. For now, it has not been brought to our table, or has been not been communicated to us as members of the National Assembly. But we have our rules of doing things in the National Assembly, particularly our standing orders and the rules of engagement of the House of Representatives. You know, we came under Order 8 by bringing it as a matter of urgent public importance, despite the fact that it was not transmitted for our consideration, but being the topic of the day and it attracting a lot of attention. You know, it is trying to ridicule the society. It is trying to ridicule our democratic setting. So we now think it is appropriate to bring it into the National Assembly for us to discuss, despite the fact that it was not transmitted to the National Assembly. And it was, the motions were sponsored by our colleague, Honorable Aliu Sanima Daikingidi, and I did the debate on that particular bill, and we have succeeded in achieving what we wanted to achieve as far as that agreement is concerned.
What is it you wanted to achieve? To suspend it or to kick it out completely?
No, actually, you know, if you wanted to talk about this issue, you know how Nigeria it is. We are highly pragmatic in the sense that we cherish our values, we cherish our norms, we cherish our institution and our religious standing. So, you know, there is this fear. There is this fear that there are certain provisions on that particular agreement. I think particularly Section 9, Section 22, and Section 29, which we feel like they are highly offensive based on the narratives flowing from the society.
So I want to be, let's get those areas just so we can be specific as to what the problem is. So it's the part that says human rights, democracy, and governance.
Yes.
And then it says, while the parties will commit to promote, protect, and fulfill all human rights by be they civil, political, economic, social, or cultural, some ACP states, which we belong to, some ACP states were reluctant to see the foundation agreement mention sexual orientation and gender identity rights, an issue on which there are also differences among EU member states. But they went on to say, as a matter of compromise, the parties will commit to the implementation of existing international agreements, notably the International Conference on Population and Development Program of Action on Sexual and Reproductive Health Rights. So basically they're saying, look, instead of, since they have an issue with this part of the agreement, there's an international rule that protects rights of people. Maybe they can focus on that. Now, this conversation really has brought up a lot of issues when it comes to this, because you are in agreements. You're with the agreements bit of our country. That's where your focus is as the head of this committee. This Samoa agreement, what was it supposed to achieve at the time when it was entered into?
So, if you can remember what I told you earlier before the start of these conversations, Samoa agreement, the way it is, it contains almost like 128 articles, right? And we see it not from the official angle. What I mean by the official angle, it was not transmitted to the National Assembly, right? It's just out of the cry and suspicion. You know what I'm saying? So that is fundamentally what guides the National Assembly, that let's look down and sit on it. There is this thinking, or there is this permutation in the town or in the country, that the federal government has went ahead to sign this Samoa agreement, despite containing all these offensive terms and what have you. So now what we are doing in essence, we are not saying whether these terms you did mention, they contain, or they've said this, or they are trying to broaden, but what we are saying now, look, Mr. President, there is a cry in the country. There is serious outcry. There is a group of opinions. There is all shenanigans going on that this particular agreement, which Nigeria refused to sign November last year, 2023. You know, the agreement was supposed to sign in November 2023, but Nigeria decided, based on this cry and this suspicion, we shall abstain from signing it officially. Nigeria did not participate on the signing ceremony because of this contention and this permutation and this thinking. So now, why will you go, you know, secretly to sign the agreement in Brussels on 28th of July? We just know about it when the Minister of Budget and National Planning said on one of his occasions that this Samoa agreement was signed on 28th July, and it contained this provision. What people are saying, what people are fearing, are not contained in the provision of that agreement. So now, okay, look.
Because that's what I'm seeing from the caveat here.
Yes.
Which is that those particular fears are being addressed in the sense that, look, we understand that you're different, you have rules that govern your country, we're trying something else. And I'm hearing that from the NBA president, we're hearing it from other people.
What we're saying, as far as National Assembly is concerned, is agreed. There is an outcry. Agreed. You don't sign it on this particular day it's supposed to be signed because of this fear and this permutation in the country. Now, why will you go secretly and sign it? You know, in Nigeria, we have a hierarchy of government. You have ministers, you have, you know, a permanent secretary and what have you. But the ambassador, you know, just went to and signed it, just saying... You know,
why do you think it was secretly?
No, because people were not informed that the agreement is going to be signed. And Nigeria has officially made a decision.
People? National Assembly?
National Assembly were not informed.
What about Bakassi? Was National Assembly informed?
Bakassi, actually, you know, I cannot say specifically because I am not much into that Bakassi issue.
The crowd out there were not informed too.
But you know, what we are saying, if the Mr. President or the federal government feel like they wanted to sign, at least they should address this fear. Hold on, stop signing this agreement. This is a gray areas. There are speculations. There are ideas. Even you, the federal government, admitted that we cannot sign this agreement as the day it's supposed to be signed. That is, I think, 11th November 2023. You opted out for not signing that, and you stated the reasons. This is a fear we have on signing this agreement. We will not sign. So now, did that fear have been addressed before you sign? That is what the National Assembly is saying. Okay, now, Mr. President, suspend whatever it has to do with Samoa. Address this fear. Come out and address the fear.
Did the members, are they aware of the statement by the president of the NBA?
Actually, I didn't know he make any statement.
Okay, yesterday, I think it was almost the same time or shortly after.
Okay, after we did that resolution yesterday?
Yeah, that's what we're asking, if the House consulted, because you kept on referring to the fears. Yeah. We're talking about what about the facts or as against the fears?
Yes.
Because fears could be because people don't know the facts.
Yes.
Or the NBA president put up a statement saying that Samoa agreement does not, in fact, let me see if I can quote him directly so I don't take it out of context. He said, quote, "To avoid any doubt, the Samoa agreement does not in any way seek to compromise our existing legislations nor undermine the sovereignty of Nigeria. Before the signing of the Samoa Agreement, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning requested the Nigerian Bar Association as a major stakeholder in the polity to look at the agreement. Consequently, I constituted a committee chaired by Olaole Fakonda, SEN, former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Ekiti State, and Chairman of the NBA Law Reform Committee to vet, evaluate, and advise on the agreement accordingly."
Okay.
So if this were the case...
Okay. I get you, Mr. Chamberlain, but, you know, if there is no that provisions as speculated, so now it is now the turn of the federal government to did what we have just passed as a resolution yesterday. What we are saying, come out, address these gray areas, bring the documents, let us see it. If this position, as the federal government, I'm just hearing from you that what the NBA president has just stated.
Yeah.
So if the federal government are very sure there is no that provisions, just come out, address it to the public, surrender the document, and maybe it will come to us for domestication before it become a law. So now come and show us this is what is contained in the Samoa agreement, and we had like a situation maybe. You know, maybe there are two versions. I don't know. I'm just saying my opinion. So now let's see what you have signed. Bring it to the public domain. Make it available so that we can see. If those provisions are contained on that particular agreement, I'm telling you, we will stand by our resolutions. We will not agree with it. We will not go and domesticate it, because if that provisions are contained, it will violate our, fundamental reasons of existence. It will violate our norms, ethics. It will violate our way of life and our religion, provided that it contains those, and we will, we will not domesticate it in this country.
Because, I mean, maybe moving forward, one hopes that is the House of Reps thinking, moving forward, before the government signs any instruments or agreements in any part, I mean, your committee should be aware, for instance, they have to ensure that the National Assembly is aware, because I'm wondering if the public had not come up with this outcry, does it mean National Assembly would not have come into this? They would have allowed it to go like that?
No, we will not allow it to go, because it will come to my office. It will come to our table so that we can start the process of domesticating it. I hope you get it. So it will come to my office and we will scrutinize it, and if we find reasons and we find the offensive terms, we will do away with it.
At the risk of sounding too modern, is the House of Representatives aware that in Nigeria we have a growing number of people from the LGBTQI plus community in this country? Now, we do have laws that guide that behavior, but there is a growing number of these people in the country. Is that something that the House of Representatives thinks about?
No,
what's going to happen to those people?
We will not think about it, because there is already an act of the National Assembly, provisions prohibiting this issue of same-sex marriage, promoting, LGBTQ. We have a law. I think it was passed in 2014.
Yeah, we're aware of the law. What I'm saying is, do you know that there are lots of people who are...
I'm not aware. I'm just hearing for the first time from you. I'm not aware of that, actually. Okay. And if we are aware of it, we will take the necessary steps that ensure that they have been prosecuted, because it's against the law of our land. So,
is the National Assembly also going to advise or put their foot down and say, look, the executive, whatever agreement you want to sign, and you want to take loans on behalf of this country, whatever the conditions are, they have to be spelled out. There has to be the interpretation clause. The country has to see what exactly are you taking, so that nobody hides behind the scenes and bringing things to this country where there has to be an outcry before we look at it.
No, actually,
what's the position?
No, the position is whatever agreement, there is three fundamental characteristics of democracy. That is the legislature, judiciary, and the executive arms. And most of the time, they work together to checkmate each other. So if there is any agreement or there is any treaties, bilateral, multilateral, or whatever it is, the National Assembly need to be involved, because we are the representatives of our people. And we are taking the positions of our people, and we are trying to see we protect the people. So I believe National Assembly need to be taking everything which has concerned agreement with other entities, so that the right of the people can be protected and being promoted at the same time.
All right, we need to run. I mean, does that mean that your committee is expecting feedback from the executive about this to decide what to do moving forward?
No, now I think it is left for the federal government now. This is our resolution. We have already brought the issue under a matter of urgent public importance. So now we have already made a resolution that, look, stop this Samoa agreement.
Okay.
It contains certain provisions which need to be clarified before we can take further steps.
All right, we'll keep tabs on that one. I understand you have to run. Honorable Rabiu Yusuf is the Chairman, House Committee on Treaties, Protocol, and Agreements. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain, and thank you for having me on the studio.
All right, we're back in just a moment. Don't go away.